under the shadow of the ancient forest, where light only trickled through moss-laden branches and the air hummed with the whispers of forgotten things. A chase thundered between predator and prey, yet in this tale both were hunters. The woman tore through the thicket with blood streaking her arms, dirt smeared across her legs, and fire in her eyes. Her name was Kawen, a warrior of the Ashen Vale, marked by fate and bound by oath. Behind her, a monstrous roar shook the forest floor deep, guttural, and thick with rage. The beast that pursued her was not born of the earth but of nightmare. Its massive form shook the ground with each stride. Claws gouged the bark of trees as it surged forward. It had the body of a wolf, swollen to unnatural proportions, scales glistening where fur should have been, and two curling horns black as obsidian. Its eyes glowed red, not with mere hunger but with malice, like embers stoked in an eternal fire. And from its slavering maw spilled hot breath that smelled of rot and death. This was a Varun, a creature whispered in bedtime warnings and etched into forbidden scripture. Kawen had not come into this forest by accident. She had tracked the beasts for weeks across ravaged villages and broken lands. Entire families had been torn apart by its fury, children gone missing, cattle slaughtered, and warriors who had tried to stand against it had vanished into its gullet. The Council of Elders had called her the last of the Thornblades to hunt what no man dared confront. But she had underestimated the beast. Her dagger glinted in the dim light as she ran, her muscles screaming from exertion. Each cut and bruise was a story of the near brushes she had already survived tonight. A claw had grazed her shoulder, leaving a burning welt. She had rolled away from its snapping jaws, only to slam against a jagged stone, tearing the skin on her thigh. Yet she ran still, weaving through trees, ducking under branches, never letting the beast close enough to strike. She wasn't running in fear, she was drawing it in. The Varun roared again, its voice carrying through the endless labyrinth of trees. Birds scattered into the canopy, and smaller creatures of the forest fled before its approach. But Kawen, gritting her teeth, narrowed her eyes and pushed herself harder. She could hear its massive body snapping branches, tearing through underbrush, relentless as a storm. Her mind replayed the ritual words of her mentor. A Varun cannot be slain by steel alone. Its heart is shielded by the curse of shadow. Only blood willingly offered may pierce its veil. Her plan was madness, but she had no other choice. She needed to bring the beast into the stone circle, a place of old power hidden deep within the forest. There, where the ruins of the ancients still hummed faintly beneath moss and ivy, she might stand a chance. The forest thickened, closing around her like the ribs of a great beast. Her lungs burned. Every step was a battle of endurance. Yet the thought of failure, of villages left defenseless, forced her legs to move faster. She leapt over a fallen tree trunk, rolled across the mossy ground, and pressed onward. Behind her, the monster was gaining. Its breath struck her back like a furnace wind. She could hear its claws scraping stone and its teeth clashing as if already savoring her bones. But then she saw the faint glow ahead, a clearing bathed in unnatural silver light where stones stood tall like watchful sentinels, the stone circle. Relief surged through her veins. Kawen burst into the clearing, stumbling across the roots before regaining her balance. She spun, planting her boots firmly into the earth, dagger raised. Her chest heaved as the beast burst through the trees, its bulk blotting out the light behind it. It stepped into the circle. The ground trembled. The air thickened with the weight of magic. The Varun's eyes flared, and it hesitated for the first time. Its nostrils flared as if it recognized the danger etched into these stones. It growled, low and guttural, shaking its massive head. Horns scraped against the pillars of rock as it prowled closer. Kawen, blood dripping from her wounds, lowered her dagger for a moment. She touched her fingers to the gash on her shoulder, smearing the blood along the blade. The weapon shimmered faintly, drinking in her sacrifice. The beast lunged. Time slowed. Kellen rolled beneath its outstretched claws, feeling the wind of its strike skim her hair. She rose, pivoting, and slashed her dagger across its flank. The blade cut deep, deeper than any ordinary steel could, spilling thick black ichor that steamed upon touching the ground. The Varun shrieked in fury, the sound splitting the night. It turned, swinging its massive head, teeth gnashing. One strike of its claw caught her side, hurling her against a stone pillar. Pain ripped through her ribs, but she forced herself to stand, spitting blood. Her vision blurred. Her body screamed at her to collapse, but she gripped her dagger tighter. This is not where I fall. She charged. The beast lunged again, its jaws snapping wide enough to engulf her whole. At the last second, she dove beneath its throat, rolling across the dirt, and drove her dagger upward with every ounce of strength she had. The blade pierced its chest. The Varun shrieked, the sound so loud it shook the stones themselves. Black blood poured from the wound, splattering Kellen's arms and face. Its massive body convulsed, claws raking the ground, tail lashing violently. But Kellen held on, twisting the blade deeper, whispering through clenched teeth the words of the old tomb-binding words, sealing words. The runes of the circle flared, pulsing with light. The beast roared one final time, its body shuddering before collapsing to the ground with earth-shaking force. Its glowing eyes dimmed, and the forest fell silent once more. Kellen staggered back, covered in blood and ichor, her body trembling. Her dagger, now cracked and useless, slipped from her hand and clattered against the stone. She collapsed to her knees, staring at the fallen beast. For a long time, she simply breathed, listening to the silence. The oppressive aura that had followed her for weeks was gone. The Varun lay still, its monstrous body slowly dissolving into ash that the wind carried away. The circle had done its work. She had won. But victory did not feel like triumph. It felt like survival. Kellen closed her eyes, pressing her forehead to the cold stone beneath her. She thought of the people she had sworn to protect, the villages she had passed through, the children who would no longer wake to screams in the night. For them she had fought. For them she would fight again. When she finally rose, the forest seemed different. The air was lighter, the shadows thinner. Yet she knew this would not be her last battle. The world was full of monsters, some with claws and horns, others wearing the faces of men. She retrieved her cracked dagger, tucking it into her belt as a reminder of what had been won and what had been lost. Then, without looking back, Kawen walked out of the stone circle, deeper into the forest, toward whatever fate awaited her next. That night, the villagers would speak of thunder rolling through the forest, of a scream that seemed to tear the very stars apart. But they would also speak of a warrior, blood-streaked and unyielding, who ran with the fury of fire in her veins and brought down the beast that had haunted their nightmares. And though Kawen's name might one day be forgotten, the story would remain, whispered beneath the trees for generations, the tale of the woman who faced the Varun and lived,